When you dig a grave for someone else, make sure to dig too. That's the thing about messing with a force you don't understand. It backfires every single time. The universe doesn't let chosen ones fall. It lets their enemies fall for them. There are people who move in silence, thinking their schemes are undetected, their betrayals unseen. They believe they can manipulate, lie, and destroy without consequences. But here's what they fail to realize. Messing with a chosen one is like trying to put out the sun with a handful of water. No matter what they do, they're only exhausting themselves while the chosen one continues to shine. Before we dive in, take a moment to like and subscribe. When you do, you're not just helping this message reach more chosen ones, you're sending a signal to the universe itself. The awakening is happening, and those who once lurked in the shadows are now being dragged into the light. Welcome, chosen ones. You are not ordinary, and that is both your greatest gift and the reason you attract enemies. Some people fear what they don't understand. Others hate what they can never become. That's why they fixate on you. Your existence alone is an unspoken challenge to everything they stand for. They see your resilience, your purpose, your power, and it eats them alive. So they scheme, they plot, they throw stones, hoping to break you. But as Marcus Aurelius once said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The very obstacles they throw in your path only make you stronger. The universe has a way of using their attacks to elevate you. Every attempt to harm you is turned into fuel for your rise. Think of it like this. A snake that tries to strike a hawk soaring in the sky is only wasting its venom. No matter how much it lunges, it will never reach the heights the hawk flies in. And that's exactly what happens when low-vibrational people try to bring down a chosen one. They're swinging at something far beyond their reach. They don't realize that chosen ones are like phoenixes. Every time they think they've burned you down, you rise from the ashes, stronger than before. And worse for them, they get caught in the fire they started. The trap they set for you becomes their own downfall. That's not just karma, that's universal law in action. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. This is why chosen ones don't even need revenge. The universe has a perfect way of handling those who cross the line. The people who betray you, they'll betray themselves. The ones who try to destroy your name, they'll destroy their own credibility. The ones who try to make you feel powerless, they'll end up powerless themselves. It's like a man climbing a ladder, trying to kick someone else off the rung below him. What he doesn't realize is that by removing that support, he's only making his own fall inevitable. So, chosen ones, stand firm. Keep rising. Keep walking in your purpose. Let them throw their stones. Let them plot behind your back. It doesn't matter. The higher you go, the harder they fall. Because in the end, they're not fighting you. They're fighting the universe. And that's a war they will never, ever win. And thank you, yes you, the unstoppable, the untouchable, the divinely guided, thank you for being here. Whether you've just arrived or you've been walking this path with us, your energy is undeniable. This isn't just a video, it's a movement, a reminder of the force you carry within. If you're ready to step fully into your power, to watch the tables turn on those who dared to move against you, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments. That's the number of endings and new beginnings, the sign that what was meant to destroy you is only making you rise. And now, let's break it all down, step by step. Because if you're a true chosen one, you won't just hear these words, you'll feel them. And once you do, there's no turning back. Let's get started. Number 1. They thought they were playing a game. Turns out, they were playing themselves. When you throw dirt at the sun, the only thing that gets dirty is your own hands. Some people are so blinded by their own arrogance that they fail to recognize what they're up against. They move recklessly, thinking they can manipulate, sabotage, and destroy without consequence. But here's what they don't realize. When they mess with a divinely guided earth angel, they're not just picking a fight with a person. They're stepping into a battlefield they can't even see, against forces they will never be able to outrun. See, earth angels aren't just kind souls floating through life without protection. They're wired into the very fabric of the universe, backed by forces that move in ways their enemies can't even begin to comprehend. To plot against them is to set a trap that only ensnares the one who set it. It's like trying to push against the ocean. No matter how strong you think you are, the tide will always push back harder. They didn't realize it, but the moment they made the choice to go against an earth angel, they activated something bigger than themselves. The universe has laws, unspoken, unseen, but always at work. And one of the strongest laws is this: when you interfere with a divine mission, you don't just fail, you self-destruct. Those who dig pits for others often fall into them themselves. And oh, do they fall. Suddenly, the plans they were so confident in begin to unravel. The doors they expected to walk through slam shut. Their own allies start turning on them. It seems like the universe itself is setting roadblocks in their path, one after another, until they're trapped in the very downfall they designed for someone else. They might call it bad luck. They might blame circumstances. But deep down, they know. They can feel it. The weight of the energy they put out is now pressing down on them like a tidal wave, and there's no escape. It's almost poetic, isn't it? Watching them scramble, trying to make sense of why everything is suddenly going wrong. They thought they were untouchable. They thought they were the puppet masters, pulling strings from the shadows. But they failed to see the bigger picture. The invisible strings of fate pulling them toward their own reckoning. The universe does not forget. It does not forgive. It simply returns to you what you sent out. The power of being chosen is something that haunts those who move against you. They sense it, even if they don't understand it. It starts as unease, then turns into full-blown paranoia. Because deep down, they know something is watching, something is balancing the scales. They can feel the energy shifting against them, and no matter how much they try to resist, it only makes the fall harder. Think of a gambler who keeps making the same bad bets, convinced that this time they'll win. They stack the deck, cheat the game, laugh at those who play fair. But the house always wins. And when it's time to collect, there's no running, no bargaining, no second chances. They thought they were the players, but they were nothing more than pawns. That's the fate of those who try to cross an earth angel. The very forces they dismissed, mocked, or ignored are the same ones writing their downfall. They played the game, but the game was never in their hands to begin with. So if you, the chosen one, have ever wondered why people move against you, why they seem to obsess over your downfall, understand this: it's because your presence alone is a threat. Not because of anything you do, but because of what you are. And when they come for you, when they think they can break you, just remember, they're not fighting you. They're fighting the universe. And that's a war they will never, ever win. Number 2, they tried to break you, but all they did was build a warrior. A diamond is just a piece of coal that handled pressure exceptionally well. They thought their words would shatter you. They thought their betrayals would leave you weak. They thought their schemes, their manipulation, their backstabbing would finally bring you down. But instead, they unknowingly did the very thing they feared the most. they made you stronger. See, Earth Angels aren't like everyone else. Most people crumble under negativity. They let insults sink into their bones, let betrayal drain their spirit, let adversity strip them of their power. But Earth Angels? They don't just survive the fire, they become it. Every time they tried to harm you, they didn't weaken you, they refined you. Like steel forged in the hottest flames, their attacks only shaped you into something sharper, something unbreakable. And that's the irony. They were trying to destroy you, but in doing so, they turned you into something even greater than before. He who throws mud loses ground. They came at you with their envy, their lies, their hidden agendas, convinced they had the upper hand. They laughed, thinking you were broken, shattered, done. But what they failed to understand is that the chosen ones don't absorb negativity like everyone else. They transmute it. It's like trying to drown a fish. It doesn't work. You don't fear the waters they tried to pull you into. You were born to navigate them. They wanted to see you suffer, to see you doubt yourself, to watch you spiral. But all they did was hand you a mirror, because every attack forced you to look deeper within yourself, to uncover strength you never even knew you had. They wanted to weaken your spirit, but instead they forced you to master it. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. Every betrayal, it only sharpened your intuition. Every lie they told, it only revealed the truth more clearly. Every time they tried to isolate you, they only pushed you closer to your higher self. They thought they were draining your energy, but in reality, they were fueling your evolution. Think of a storm crashing against a mountain. The wind howls, the rain pours, lightning strikes with fury, and yet, when it all passes, the mountain is still there, unchanged, unmoved, eternal. That's you. They thought they could shake you, but the storm was never bigger than your foundation. And now, you don't just withstand storms, you become them. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. They wanted to see you broken, but now they can't even look you in the eye. They wanted to see you weak, but now your presence alone unsettles them. They don't understand how you survived, how you keep rising, how their worst efforts only made you more powerful. And that's the part that haunts them, because deep down they realize they were never in control. The very energy they used against you became the force that elevated you beyond their reach. So let them watch, let them wonder, let them sit in the ruins of their failed attempts to bring you down. Because in the end, they weren't your downfall. They were just stepping stones on your path to greatness. Number 3, they thought they could bring you down, but they couldn't even reach your level. You don't have to fight the darkness, just shine so bright that it has nowhere left to exist. They came at you with everything they had: jealousy, manipulation, deception, thinking they could shake you, thinking they could pull you into their chaos. But there was one thing they didn't account for. They were playing on the wrong frequency. Earth Angels don't operate in the same low vibrations as the people who seek to destroy them. And when low energy tries to collide with high energy, it doesn't weaken the high, it annihilates the low. It's like trying to throw a stone at the sun. The rock doesn't reach its target. It simply falls back to the ground, powerless, useless. That's exactly what happens when someone tries to harm an Earth Angel. They think they're launching an attack, but in reality, they're only setting themselves up for a harsh return. The energy you put out is the energy you get back, tenfold. They underestimated the power of high vibrational energy, the way it acts as an unseen force field, reflecting negativity back to its source with brutal accuracy. They thought their envy, their resentment, their carefully crafted betrayals would bring you down, but instead they became tangled in their own web. Everything they sent out came back to them, heavier, darker, and completely inescapable. What they don't realize is that Earth Angels don't just absorb energy, they transmute it. Any negativity that does manage to slip through the cracks doesn't break them. It fuels them, it sharpens them, it pushes them further into their power, leaving those who tried to hurt them wondering why nothing they do ever works. It's like trying to throw a boomerang in the wind. You think you've aimed it perfectly, but the wind catches it, turns it around, and sends it flying straight back at you with twice the force. By the time they realize what's happening, it's too late. They're already drowning in the very negativity they tried to drown you in. You cannot destroy light with darkness. Darkness only destroys itself in the presence of light. Earth Angels don't need revenge. They don't need to engage in battles that were never meant for them. They understand something that their enemies never will. Energy is the only true currency in this universe, and those who invest in destruction, deception, and low vibrational chaos will always end up bankrupt. And here's the kicker. While they're consumed by the weight of their own negativity, the Earth Angel they tried to break, they're thriving, they're ascending, they're living in a realm so far beyond the petty games of the envious that it's almost laughable. It's like watching a child throw a tantrum in the middle of a storm. They scream, they kick, they rage, convinced they have control. Meanwhile, the storm continues on, unmoved, unbothered, untouched. That's the reality of dealing with an Earth Angel. They don't need to fight battles that have already been won by the laws of the universe. Messing with an Earth Angel isn't just a mistake, it's a self-inflicted sentence. And so, the ones who tried to destroy you will sit in confusion, wondering why their world is falling apart while yours is only getting stronger, wondering why they feel drained, stuck, lost, while you move forward with clarity and ease, wondering why every attempt to harm you ended up harming them instead. They thought they could drag you down, but you were never even within their reach. Number 4. They thought forgiveness meant a free pass. They were dead wrong. The first time someone shows you who they are, believe them. They thought they could wound you and walk away untouched. They believed that an Earth Angel's kindness meant they could do as they pleased, that their betrayal would be forgotten, that their apologies, real or fake, would always be enough to earn them another chance. But here's where they played themselves. Earth Angels do forgive, not because they're weak, not because they're naive, but because they refuse to carry the weight of someone else's darkness. Forgiveness is not a gift to the one who caused harm. It's a gift to themselves. It's how they stay light, unburdened, unshaken. But don't mistake that for blindness. They forgive, but they never forget. Some people take forgiveness as an invitation back in. They assume it means the slate has been wiped clean, that they can return to play the same games, repeat the same cycles. What they fail to realize is that while an Earth Angel may let go of resentment, they never let go of the lesson. The moment someone shows them their true colors, it's locked into memory, and no amount of apologies can erase the truth of what was revealed. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Earth Angels are patient, but they are not foolish. They give people the space to change, but they do not wait around for illusions. A true apology is change in action, and anything less is just noise. They see through empty words, recognize patterns, and once they've had enough, they don't look back. They don't waste energy trying to fix what was never meant to be whole. And this is where their enemies miscalculated. They expected to walk back in like nothing happened, to find the same open arms, the same gentle spirit, the same unconditional acceptance. Instead, they found a door locked so tightly that even the key they once held no longer fit. They found a soul that had already moved on, elevated beyond their reach, detached from whatever illusion had once kept them around. They never saw it coming. You never heal by going back to what broke you. Earth angels don't hold grudges, they hold boundaries, and once they've outgrown someone, there's no reversing it. The absence of hate doesn't mean there's space for reconnection. The lack of anger doesn't mean there's room for second chances. They've simply made peace with the past, taken the lesson, and moved forward without looking back. That's the real power of an earth angel. They don't stay bitter, they don't seek revenge, they don't drown in resentment, but they also don't repeat mistakes. When they shut the door, it stays shut. And those on the other side are left with nothing but the realization that they lost access to something rare, something powerful, something they will never find again. They thought forgiveness was a revolving door. They thought kindness meant unlimited chances. But what they didn't understand is that earth angels don't waste their light on those who refuse to value it. And once they walk away, they never truly return. Number 5. They thought they held the power until the universe pulled the rug right from under them. When the chess game is over, the pawns and the kings go back into the same box. They moved with arrogance, convinced that they had it all figured out. They whispered, plotted, manipulated, and set their traps, believing they were untouchable. They thought they were pulling the strings, that every move they made was another step toward your downfall. What they failed to realize is that they weren't playing the game. They were the game. And the moment they tried to turn their hand against an earth angel, the universe began rearranging the pieces faster than they could even blink. The shift was instant. They didn't even see it coming. 1 minute they were in control, and the next, everything started falling apart. The alliances they relied on suddenly crumbled. The plans they so carefully constructed slipped right through their fingers like sand. The very circumstances they thought they had power over began working against them. It was almost poetic, the way it all started to unravel, piece by piece, as if an invisible force was pulling the strings, undoing their every effort with a level of precision they could never match. The universe doesn't need permission to restore balance, it just does. What they didn't understand was that by moving against you, they triggered something bigger than themselves. They weren't just playing with a person, they were tampering with a system that does not tolerate interference. The universe doesn't sit idly by while its chosen ones are targeted. It doesn't hesitate. It corrects. The moment they made the decision to move against you, they sealed their own fate. And the irony, you didn't even have to lift a finger. The unraveling was inevitable. At first, they brushed it off as bad luck. A small setback here, a minor inconvenience there. But then the weight started piling on. Things that used to come easy became difficult. The people who once stood by their side started turning against them. Their confidence turned to anxiety. Their control turned to desperation. And just as they thought they could recover, something else went wrong. The doors they expected to walk through were suddenly slammed shut. Their carefully curated lies started to crumble under the weight of truth. The situations they depended on to keep themselves afloat began dragging them under. They tried to run from the consequences, but there was no running, because this wasn't just a random streak of bad luck. This was a reckoning. Karma moves in silence. You won't hear it coming, but you'll feel it when it arrives. What's worse for them? The realization that you weren't even affected. They had spent all this time plotting against you, waiting for the moment you would break, but instead you stood there untouched, unaffected, and stronger than ever. It burned them up inside. They couldn't understand it. They had done everything they could to bring you down, yet somehow it all backfired on them. Watching their downfall is like watching someone build a tower out of glass, thinking it will stand forever, only to have it shatter with the slightest touch. They thought they had the upper hand. They thought they had control. But control is an illusion when the universe is in charge. And the universe does not tolerate injustice, especially not against someone with a mission, someone who is protected by forces beyond human comprehension. You reap what you sow. Sometimes you don't get the harvest, you get the storm. Their arrogance blinded them to the simple truth. Messing with an earth angel is like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. The explosion isn't immediate, but when it happens, there's no stopping it. They never saw you as a threat. They underestimated you because of your kindness, your patience, your ability to rise above the chaos. But what they failed to grasp is that true power doesn't scream. It moves in silence. It waits. And then, when the time is right, it strikes in ways that leave no room for recovery. And by the time they realize what's happening, it's already too late. The universe always balances the scales. They crossed a line they had no business crossing, and now they're paying the price. It doesn't matter how much they regret it, how much they try to fix what's broken. Once the universe steps in, there's no undoing what's been set into motion. They thought they could manipulate destiny, that they could twist fate in their favor. But fate does not bend to human will. Every debt in the universe gets paid, one way or another. And now, they're left with nothing but the consequences of their own actions. They thought they could play the game, but in the end, they only played themselves. Number 6. They threw stones, but the universe handed them a mirror. When you spit towards the sky, it lands right back on your face. They thought they could move in the dark, strike without consequence, and walk away untouched. What they didn't realize was that the moment they directed their energy toward an earth angel, they had already sealed their fate. They were never just throwing shade, never just whispering lies, never just plotting in secret. They were standing in front of a cosmic mirror, and every single thing they sent out was only circling back to hit them harder. They didn't account for this. They thought they were in control. But the truth is, earth angels don't just walk with protection. They are protection. Their energy is so aligned with the universe that any attack against them is automatically reflected back. And not just in the same measure. No, the universe has a way of amplifying it, making sure those who tried to harm them feel the weight of their own intentions. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you is not just a saying. It's a universal contract. And when people violate that contract against an earth angel, the penalty is steep. The enemy never expects this. They believe they're immune. But suddenly, things begin to shift. Doors that once opened for them slam shut. Opportunities they took for granted disappear. Relationships begin to crumble. Their luck turns sour. And no matter what they do, they can't seem to catch a break. They call it misfortune. They call it coincidence. But deep down, they know exactly where it's coming from. The weight of their own actions is being handed right back to them. It's like throwing a stone into a still lake. They thought the ripples would move outward, affecting only their target. But what they didn't see coming was the wave forming, growing, turning back toward them with unstoppable force. The most poetic part, the earth angel never had to lift a finger. They didn't have to seek revenge, didn't have to wish harm, didn't have to play the same dirty game. All they did was exist, move forward, continue shining, and let the universe handle the rest. Karma is like a rubber band. It stretches as far as it can, but when it snaps back, it hits with force. This is the part that truly haunts them, the realization that they did this to themselves. The Earth Angel wasn't their enemy. The universe wasn't out to get them. They were simply being shown the reflection of their own energy. And nothing is more terrifying than having to face yourself in the harshest, most unforgiving way possible. They start to panic. They try to undo the damage. Some even attempt apologies, not out of genuine remorse, but out of fear. They think they can smooth things over, stop the effects, press reset. But the universe doesn't work that way. There are some debts that must be paid in full, some actions that cannot be undone, only faced. You made your bed, now lie in it. The Earth Angel, meanwhile, walks on, untouched, not because they are unaware, but because they know this is how it always plays out. They've seen it before. They understand that divine protection isn't just about shielding them. It's about ensuring that balance is always restored. They don't gloat. They don't celebrate the downfall of their enemies. They simply observe, knowing that justice is unfolding exactly as it was meant to. Because when someone tries to mess with an Earth Angel, they're not just playing with a person, they're playing with the system itself. And in a game against the universe, there is only one outcome. They lose, every single time. Number 7. They thought the quiet meant weakness. They didn't realize it was the calm before the storm. The lion doesn't turn around when the small dogs bark. They underestimated you. They saw your kindness and mistook it for naivety. They saw your patience and assumed it meant they could push you forever. They thought your silence was a sign of fear, your forgiveness a sign of weakness. But what they didn't know, what they never saw coming, is that your calm wasn't submission. It was calculation. It was the deep, immovable stillness of someone who doesn't waste energy on battles beneath them. The biggest mistake they made? Thinking they had power over you. See, Earth Angels don't react the way ordinary people do. They don't get caught up in meaningless fights. They don't scream, beg, or plead. They observe, they analyze, they wait, and when the time comes, they remove themselves completely. That is the moment their enemies never expect, yet fear the most. The most dangerous opponent is not the one who shouts, but the one who silently walks away. You didn't need to raise your voice. You didn't need to seek revenge. The moment you saw through their games, the moment you realized they were taking your energy for granted, you disappeared. And that disappearance? That was their downfall. They thought they had you right where they wanted you. They thought they could keep lying, keep manipulating, keep draining your energy without consequence. But the truth is, you let them play their little games while you watched, gathering information, understanding their true nature. And when you had enough, you closed the door they never thought could be shut. They didn't see it coming. They thought they were in control, but in reality, they were only given as much access as you allowed. Earth Angels are masters of perception. They see deception long before it unfolds. Yet they stay still, not out of weakness, but out of choice. Because the moment an Earth Angel decides to walk away, there's no undoing it. Never push a loyal person to the point where they no longer care. And when that moment comes, their enemies feel it instantly. The shift is undeniable. The energy changes. Where there was once warmth, there's now a wall. Where there was once understanding, there's now indifference. The person they could once manipulate so easily is suddenly untouchable. They try to pull you back in. They send messages. They talk about you. They play the victim. But it doesn't matter. The door is closed. and earth angels never reopen doors that were shut for a reason. They find themselves on the outside, confused, desperate, wondering why their usual tricks don't work anymore. They may even try to provoke a reaction, just to prove to themselves that they still have some kind of hold over you. But they're met with nothing. No words, no anger, no attention, just the cold realization that they never had control to begin with. The most powerful statement you can make is silence. And that silence haunts them. It lingers in their mind, louder than any argument, more painful than any confrontation. Because deep down, they know they lost. Not only did they lose you, but they lost access to the energy, the peace, and the light that only you brought into their life. That's the thing about earth angels. They don't need to seek revenge. The moment they remove their energy from someone's life, the punishment begins naturally. Those who once thrived off their presence suddenly find themselves empty, surrounded by their own darkness with no light to steal from. They thought they were winning. They thought they were playing you, but in the end, they played themselves. When an earth angel goes silent, it's not the end of a conversation. It's the beginning of their enemy's downfall. And now, as they sit in the silence they once laughed at, they finally understand. Your peace was never weakness. It was the ultimate power. Number 8. They let jealousy consume them, and it devoured them whole. Envy is the art of counting the other fellow's blessings instead of your own. They thought they were watching you, studying you, calculating your every move, but they never realized the truth. While they were watching you, something else was watching them. Jealousy is a silent disease, one that creeps into the mind, poisons the heart, and turns admiration into resentment. And once it takes hold, it doesn't let go. It festers, rotting from the inside out, until the very person who harbored it becomes unrecognizable, even to themselves. Earth angels don't seek attention, but they attract it effortlessly. They don't chase admiration, yet people are drawn to their light. It's a presence, a frequency, a silent power that makes those around them either inspired or deeply insecure. For some, seeing a chosen one stand firm in their purpose is a reminder of everything they lack. Instead of using that feeling as motivation, they let it turn into envy. Instead of learning, they start scheming. Instead of growing, they start plotting. The jealous are troublesome to others, but a torment to themselves. And that's exactly what happens. The ones who let jealousy take root don't even realize they've already set their own downfall in motion. They become obsessed, picking apart your every move, trying to figure out why you shine the way you do. They whisper behind your back, hoping to dim your light. They try to block your path, hoping to slow you down. But earth angels are on a mission that human hands cannot interfere with. You are divinely guided, protected by forces they can't even comprehend. Every attempt to harm you is like throwing stones at the moon, futile, desperate, and only exposing their own weakness. At first, they think they're winning. They see you face obstacles and assume it's their doing. They see you struggle and believe their plans are working. But what they don't realize is that every attack only strengthens your resilience. Every roadblock only refines your path. What they intended as a weapon against you becomes the very force that lifts you higher. Meanwhile, their jealousy is eating them alive. Their minds become prisons, trapped in endless thoughts of you. While you're out there evolving, growing, and fulfilling your purpose, they're stuck, unable to focus on their own progress because they're too busy watching yours. They think about you more than they think about themselves, and in doing so, they become their own worst enemy. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. And that's the thing. They think their envy will harm you, but it only destroys them. The negativity they send out circles back, manifesting as setbacks, failures, and losses in their own lives. They don't see the connection at first. They blame bad luck, bad timing, bad circumstances. But deep down, something gnaws at them. A whisper of regret, a shadow of realization. By the time they understand the damage they've done to themselves, it's too late. They've already sabotaged their own path. They've wasted too much time focused on you while their own opportunities pass them by. And when they finally look around, they see the truth. You're still standing, stronger than ever, unshaken, untouchable. And they're drowning in the chaos of their own making. It's almost poetic, isn't it? They thought their jealousy was a weapon, but in the end, it was a mirror, a reflection of their own insecurities, a magnifying glass on their own failures. And when they looked into it, all they saw was the person they had become, bitter, broken, and left behind. You, the chosen one, never had to lift a finger. The universe handled it for you, because when someone tries to destroy what is divinely protected, they don't just fail, they unravel. So let them watch, let them obsess, let them drown in their envy while you continue to rise. Because in the end, they were never fighting you. They were fighting themselves. And that's a battle they were doomed to lose from the very start. Number 9. They couldn't handle their own reflection, so they tried to shatter the mirror. The hate you give is just the love you're too afraid to show yourself. There's a certain kind of person who can't stand to see someone walking in their truth, standing in their light, and thriving in their power. They don't just dislike it, they resent it. It gnaws at them, fuels an obsession, forces them into silent competition with someone who isn't even playing the same game. But here's the brutal truth. When they came for an earth angel, they weren't attacking you. They were fighting their own reflection. Insecurity is a disease that spreads from within. It festers, twists, distorts reality until the person suffering from it believes the only way to ease their discomfort is to drag someone else down. And who better to target than someone who moves differently? Someone who radiates an energy they don't understand, a presence they can't compete with, a peace they've never known. So they lash out. They label you as too much, too kind, too confident, too at peace. They'll claim you think you're better than others, that you're out of touch, that your light is fake. But in reality, every insult, every smear, every whisper behind your back is nothing more than a confession. They aren't exposing you, they're exposing themselves. Jealousy is a wound that never stops bleeding. It only stains the one who carries it. The moment they decided to go against an earth angel, they triggered their own downfall, not because of anything you did, but because their own energy started eating them alive. They were already drowning in their insecurities. You just held up the mirror, and when they saw themselves for what they really were, full of fear, envy, and self-doubt, they panicked. Instead of confronting it, they projected it onto you, hoping it would make them feel lighter. But here's where they played themselves. Projection is a cycle that never ends well for the one doing it. The more they push their insecurities onto someone else, the heavier their own burdens become. It's like throwing stones into the ocean, expecting the waves to disappear. But the ocean doesn't break. It absorbs, transforms, and keeps moving. And the weight? It doesn't disappear. It stays with the one who threw it. They thought they were tearing you down, but all they did was make you stronger. Because an earth angel doesn't absorb negativity the way they do. Where they see pain, you see wisdom. Where they feel threatened, you feel empowered. Every insult, every attack, every desperate attempt to dim your light is just more fuel for your transformation. It's like trying to block out the sun by standing in its shadow. It doesn't make the light any less bright. It only leaves them in the dark. The shadow proves the sunshine, and that's the irony of it all. The more they tried to hurt you, the more they hurt themselves. Their bitterness became their prison, their envy became their torment, and their obsession with you became their own undoing. Meanwhile, you kept thriving, you kept evolving, you kept moving forward while they stayed stuck in the same miserable cycle, watching you from a distance, wondering why nothing they did could shake you. That's because earth angels don't operate on the same frequency as their enemies. They aren't driven by the same fears, the same need for validation, the same fragile ego that keeps others in chains. They exist above it. And when someone with a wounded spirit tries to bring them down, the only thing that happens is the attacker ends up sinking deeper into their own darkness. The fire you set to burn someone else will always leave you covered in smoke. And now they're left with the consequences of their own actions, the relationships they ruined, the bridges they burned, the peace they destroyed. None of it affected you, but it consumed them. That's the cost of moving against a force you don't understand. The universe doesn't punish earth angels, it protects them. But those who try to interfere with that protection, they find themselves on the receiving end of the very energy they put out. So if you, the chosen one, have ever wondered why people come against you, why they try so hard to drag you into their misery, understand this: it was never about you, it was always about them. You were just the reminder they couldn't escape, the proof that something was missing in their own soul. And when they finally realized that all the energy they wasted trying to bring you down only destroyed them in the process, it will be too late. They picked a fight with a mirror, and now they can't escape their own reflection. Number 10. They took your patience for permission. Now they're locked out forever. Some people will only realize your worth when your silence is the only thing they have left. They mistook your kindness for weakness. They thought your patience meant they could keep testing you, keep pushing the limits, keep playing their games without consequence. They assumed that because you forgave, you had forgotten. That because you stayed silent, you didn't see. But what they never understood is that an earth angel's patience is not infinite. It's intentional. It is not permission. It is not surrender. It is a test, one they failed without even knowing. See, earth angels don't react like everyone else. When others lash out, they observe. When others seek revenge, they reflect. They allow people the space to either correct their ways or expose their true selves. And most of the time, people expose themselves. With every subtle manipulation, every lie, every betrayal disguised as a mistake, the earth angel watches. They see it all. They just don't say anything because they don't need to. The moment of reckoning always arrives, and when it does, it is not the earth angel who suffers. The snake thought it was clever until it bit its own tail. They thought they were winning, thought they were getting away with it. But what they didn't realize is that earth angels don't strike back, they rise. And when an earth angel outgrows someone, that person becomes invisible. There's no grand confrontation, no dramatic fallout, just a quiet shift, a step into a frequency where the offender can no longer reach them. One day, they wake up and realize the earth angel is gone, not just physically, but energetically. And that's when the regret sets in, because the truth is, they never had real power over the earth angel. They only had the illusion of power, an illusion that existed because the earth angel allowed it to. They were never in control. They were simply being observed. A wise man never argues with a fool. He simply stops responding. They misread the silence. They assumed it meant acceptance, when in reality it was a countdown. Every ignored red flag, every overlooked betrayal, every second chance they thought they had secured was just time ticking away until the Earth Angel decided they were done. And when an Earth Angel is done, they're done for good. No closure, no explanations, no way back. And the best part? The person who took advantage never even sees it coming. They wake up one day and everything feels different. The energy has shifted. The dynamic they once controlled is gone. The Earth Angel, the one they thought would always be there, has moved on. Not just away, but beyond. It's a brutal kind of karma, one that doesn't arrive with thunder and lightning, but with the eerie quiet of absence. The Earth Angel becomes unreachable, untouchable, unreadable. Their patience was never about submission. It was about seeing who someone really was before deciding their fate. And once they decide, it's over. They never see the last time coming, but when they look back, they realize that was the moment everything changed. The person who misused their patience suddenly finds themselves in a place they never expected, locked out of something they never truly valued until it was gone. The support, the kindness, the forgiveness, their access to it has been revoked, not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Because Earth Angels know that people like this don't change. They only regret losing the benefits of being close to an Earth Angel. And that's the irony. They don't miss the Earth Angel, they miss what they got from the Earth Angel. They miss the safety of being in the presence of someone who genuinely wanted the best for them. They miss the warmth, the guidance, the energy. But it's too late. That door is shut, and it doesn't reopen. A tree never stops growing to match the height of the weeds around it. It simply grows beyond them. So if you, the chosen one, have ever felt like people have mistaken your patience for weakness, understand this: you were never weak. You were simply watching. You were giving them rope, and they used it to hang themselves. You were giving them space, and they used it to reveal who they truly were. Now they sit in the mess they created, wondering why things feel different, why their world seems colder. It's because they played themselves. They didn't lose you. They lost access to something sacred, something irreplaceable. And the most powerful thing you can do: keep rising, keep evolving, keep walking forward without looking back. Because the more you grow, the smaller they become, until one day they're just another lesson, just another story, just another ghost in the past, knocking on a door that will never open again. Number 11. They thought they could pull the strings, but ended up tangled in their own lies. The more you try to control someone, the more you reveal how little control you have over yourself. Manipulators believe they are the masters of deception. They move in shadows, twisting words, creating illusions, planting seeds of doubt in the minds of those around them. They thrive on control, thinking they can shape reality to their liking, bending others to their will. But when they try this with an Earth Angel, they don't just fail, they unravel. They assumed their games would work, that their tricks would confuse, that their false narratives would take root. What they didn't realize is that Earth Angels see, not just with their eyes, not just with logic, but with something deeper, an unshakable intuition that exposes lies before they're even spoken. An Earth Angel doesn't need proof. They feel deception in their bones. The moment a manipulator starts playing their game, the Earth Angel already knows the outcome. And this is where the tables turn. Manipulators don't just fail at deceiving an Earth Angel, they expose themselves in the process. Their insecurities, their desperation, their lack of self-worth, everything they tried to hide now stands in the spotlight. Every attempt to control is a confession of their own inner chaos. The harder they try to pull the strings, the more tangled they become in their own web. It's not the Earth Angel who gets caught, it's them. You can fool the world, but you can't fool someone who has mastered the art of seeing beyond the mask. Manipulation is never about power, it's about fear. It's about someone so terrified of losing control that they resort to tricks and deceit to feel a false sense of dominance. But an Earth Angel doesn't operate in the same realm as manipulators. They don't play mind games. They don't react to false narratives. They don't chase or seek validation from those who scheme. Instead, they stand still, watching, allowing the manipulator to expose themselves. There's nothing more dangerous to a manipulator than someone who cannot be controlled. Someone who doesn't react, doesn't flinch, doesn't fall for the same traps that worked on others. The Earth Angel's silence, their detachment, their refusal to engage, that alone is enough to break the manipulator down. It's like a puppet master yanking on strings, only to realize that the puppet is no longer attached. The show is over. The game is done, and now they're left with nothing but the weight of their own desperation. The moment an Earth Angel sees through the illusion, they step back. They withdraw their energy. They remove themselves from the equation. And that's when the manipulator's worst nightmare begins. Because now, there's no one left to play the game with. The best way to win a rigged game is to walk away from the table. And that's exactly what an Earth Angel does. They don't need to expose the manipulator. They don't need to argue, prove a point, or engage in drama. They simply leave. They take their energy with them. They take their presence, their warmth, their light. And suddenly, the manipulator is left standing in the cold, naked in their deception, with nothing left but their own darkness. And oh, do they feel it. The silence is deafening. The absence of the Earth Angel's energy is suffocating. They thought they were in control, but now they see the truth. Control was the illusion. The real power belonged to the one who never needed the game to begin with. They thought they were breaking the Earth Angel down. Instead, they broke themselves. They played themselves. Because what is a manipulator without someone to manipulate? What is a puppet master with no strings to pull? Just a lost, empty soul standing in the ruins of their own deception. This is the power of an Earth Angel. Not through force, not through revenge, but through unwavering clarity. Through the simple, undeniable truth that no manipulator can ever truly control someone who walks with universal alignment. So let them play their games. Let them pull their tricks. Let them think they have control. In the end, they always reveal themselves. And when they do, the Earth Angel will still be standing, untouched, unbothered, and stronger than ever. And just like that, the truth reveals itself. Those who thought they were winning were only running straight into their own downfall. They played themselves, not realizing that an Earth Angel's path is protected, their power is unstoppable, and their rise is inevitable. No matter what they tried, the universe was always working in your favor. If this message resonated with you, show your support. Like this video, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to claim your power. Share this with another chosen one, because when we rise together, the enemy has nowhere left to hide. The awakening is here.